Yeah, Ian
shoes.
Thompson looks like he's wearing no clothes because his t-shirt's like a nudie colour.
Say hello, Gregory.
Hello.
Excellent. Right now, this is the main man. This is when we talked about Anarkos in week one. We talked about the philosophy behind Anarkos, and Gregory has sort of started this thing. Let me say how I understood it, Gregory, but then you tell me what the reality is. In the bad old days, not just in Italy but also in France, unknown regions producing beautifully concentrated, rich wines were unknown, and they found it hard to sell their wines. And their more northerly neighbours were buying the wine up really cheaply and adding it, blending it away illegally and wrongly into their own wines to improve them and selling them at a much higher price. And so I know this was happening. Everybody knows. Nobody ever says it officially, but everybody knows it used to happen in France. The Burgundians were buying Algerian red, shipping it in tankers, and bulking out their wines to make them taste better, quite frankly. And this the same was happening from Puglia, where your wine region is, and further northern Italian wines to improve them. Is that right? Am I getting the story right?
Yes, of course. When the French lost their colonies in North Africa, they switched their research of concentrated wine in southern Italy, mainly in Sicily and Puglia. So they used to buy huge quantities of bulk wine in order to blend with their own productions. And my father was one of the big exporter of bulk wine in the 80s and 90s toward France and also Spain a little bit. And but also not the northern Italian producer used to buy a lot of bulk wine from Puglia and in the last 20 years. And when Puglia started to become upgrading their own production, then bringing our own vineyard, our vines and local grape all over the world, the northern producer of Italy immediately moved to south, not to buy bulk wine, but this time to buy land, to buy wineries, to buy vineyards. Let me say, to colonize us.
Okay.
And that's why I would, at that time, I would protest against this Yankee colonization. And that's why I made the Anarkos wine. That's the Anarchy wine.
Lots and lots of people would like to know, A, where can they get your t-shirts from?
I will ship to Mark if they order.
So I was going to say that. So I was going to say, Mark, I think we're going to have the Anarkos.
Okay, Greggy, we've got an order ready to leave next week, I believe, haven't we?
Yeah. So I will.
Can you put a case of Anarkos t-shirts on for me?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so seriously, I think we've got about eight or nine people who would like an Anarkos t-shirt.
I started to make this wine in 2002, and at the beginning it was really difficult to me to introduce this wine in United States. They love the wine, but they say, oh, with this an anarchist label, you will never sell this wine in the US. Okay, I stayed in Europe. I sold so much wine in Germany, in Netherlands, and but one day when the first financial crisis came into the United States, people was talking about the 99% wine. So this became the 99% wine. You know that 100% has the wealth of 99% poor people. So it became the 99% wine, and I sold so much wine at that time in the United States that was incredible.
People's wine.
Yeah, it was the people wine.
Well,
okay, Gregory, and you know, if you're a wine for the people love your wine. I'm not even joking. There's people fangirling all over the place tonight. So I think the people that already know the Falone and love. So my husband's in the background being very embarrassing. So
Thank you.
Yeah, he's obsessed with the Falone. But I think lots of people in week one also tasted the Anarkos, some for the first time maybe. Everyone loves it. There's Mark McCree has had an idea. He'd like, how many people can you host at the winery? Can we have next year, can we have the first Real Wine Company spring tasting at the wine? Yeah.
And you mean here in this place?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can host here 400 people.
Right, we're there. Right.
Okay. Well, this will be our first Real Wine Company on tour.
Holiday.
Now let's taste some of the wine. I want to talk about the Anarkos. Is a wonderful wine. It was the first wine which I bought from you, probably 10 or so years ago. I can't remember now, but it was, again, it was a bit like other wines which we've tasted before. The Virus. I didn't know that we could sell really good quality wines from unknown regions at a relatively expensive price compared to the average, and it proved to be an instant success, and it is now our best-selling red wine, bar none, no doubt about it. It's made from a blend, which is a good thing, of Primitivo, and by the way, Primitivo, which is in California known as Zinfandel, they're the same grape variety, by the way. Nothing, and don't be confused with the white Zinfandels from California, which are sort of sweet rosé wines. That's another subject. But then this has got some Negramaro and some Malvasia in the Anarkos. But the Falone is 100% Primitivo. It's 14.5% alcohol. It's been aged in barrels. It's 2013 vintage. But there's something about it. There's a hint of sweetness. And what is it that makes it? I think you told me that it's a late harvest. So what is it that gives it that hint of sweetness that makes it such a delicious wine?
You know that Primitivo, similar like Zinfandel, has a special behavior. He ripens very quickly. And so we take a lot of care in ripening time in order to harvest at the right time. Because if you delay even 2-3 days, you can have a kind of overripe taste, and more sugar, more alcohol, but the acidity is go down.
Yeah.
So to make a Falone, we make a regular harvest. It comes mostly from red soil. You know that Anarkos is a wine that I made to protest, and I play with the original grape varietal. Most of them were brought by the Greeks 3,000 years ago when they colonized southern Italy. But the most important wine that we make is Primitivo. My winery and my family is in Manduria, which is the capital, world capital for Primitivo grape. And we grow different Primitivo in different soil. Falone comes from the red soil. It's very rich of iron, and usually red soil is harvested at the beginning of September. What we do with the Falone, in order to have a rich wine, but this smooth, final, and slightly sweetness, is leaving 40% of the vineyard, making a late harvest. When I say late harvest in Puglia, is not 1 month later. It's only 6, 7, 1 week later. So in this way, we have the first harvest that's normal, and we have the concentration and the freshness because the acidity is higher. And with the 40% delay, we have a small harvest, concentrated grape, very rich of sugar, that leaves some sugar residual in the end of fermentation. Anarko is it's a very eclectic wine. You can match with every kind of food. I like also Anarkos a little bit chili in summertime with fruit. So it's very strange. I drink regularly Anarkos with pizza, with panini, with very. But it's also a wine that you can taste. You can stay in front of television with the Tarallini, Apulian Taralli, and that's it.
One question, Gregory, how many bottles of wine are you producing a year?
We make in total 800,000 bottles per year. So my wines are handcrafted wine, and we make in the same style. We try to make in the same way my father and my grandfather used to do. So we try to keep the business, not to make money, because we didn't.
Artisan.
So it's a kind of testament. I like the word Mark said before. It's a kind of testament that we received that we want to keep. And in this moment, families like mine, all the market, all the producer in Italy, small producer, needs to meet people like you, very passionate, very interested in the lands, in the region, and in the tradition. So I think price, if you consider everything of this, we also keep balance with the nature.
Yeah, and you know what, Gregory, so many people genuinely really want to come and visit your winery. So I think we might be setting up the Real Wine Company, Italian tour. We're going to come, and when we're allowed to, we're going to come and see you. We've been very good throughout the kind of spring tasting Tri-Day Friday approach. We've been very good to avoid the elephant in the room, which is like COVID-19 and the kind of like crisis. And I think that's a good thing, because we all need a bit of escapism, and we haven't really talked about that. But a friend of mine today actually asked me, how much is the kind of movement of labor and people, is it going to affect your harvest this year? Are you going to have the right number of people to pick the grapes? There's a couple of people who might be a bit worried about whether they're going to get their, in a couple of years' time, whether they're going to get their 2020 vintage of Anarkos and Filone. Are we okay?
Let's keep in touch. We usually have people coming and visiting. If you look at the map, Manduria is only 8 kilometers from the seaside, and we have one of the best seaside in Puglia. So we have people that come here, like to stay here around Manduria, helping us in some harvesting operation or even winery operation. And then they spend the rest of the day on the beach having fun. Puglia is very cool in terms of tourism. In the last 6 years, it was the region that performed better in the income. We don't know what happened this year. It's a horrible year for tourism. But we hope I would be very happy to host you, to have you visiting here.
We're all coming. And what difference does the vintage kind of make with something like the Filone, which a lot of people on here are passionate about? Is the next shipment, for example, Mark, is it going to be the 2013 or the 2014 of Filone? And what kind of difference should I expect to taste between those different vintages?
The next shipment is more of 2013, isn't it, Gregory?
Yeah.
But so yes. But when will you be moving on to the next vintage? Because you have stocks maturing, ready to be released when the time is right.
I think now with the slowdown in sales, I have to sell 2013 first, and then to move on the next vintage. But hopefully, I think February to release the next vintage.
It is deep, and it's still showing. It's not showing signs of the brown that you get with older wine. This is 2013 vintage, so it's six and a half years old now, and it's showing. It's still looking like a youthful thing, which is a sign of a great wine.
What is the residual sugar in the Fellone?
The residual sugar in Fellone is 17 grams per liter.
So to put that into perspective, a bone dry white wine has 2 or 3, maybe 4 grams per liter. A soft red wine might have sort of 10. So this is relatively high, but equally, if you have you remember the good old days of Blue Nun and Lieframilch, they would have 60 or 70 grams of sugar in them. So but it is a remarkable thing that level of and when we say residual sugar, that is natural sugar left unfermented. This is not Tate and Lyle added afterwards. This is natural.
Yeah, within the grapes, and because of that hot Pulian sun and the slightly longer season, later harvest,
exactly, that stays in there. But the tannins with the age and the bottle age are soft. So it marries really, really very, very well.
And presumably that's why it ages so well as well.
And exactly right. It's got huge amounts of extract in it, and it's got 14.5% alcohol, and it's got that slight sweetness. Let's not exaggerate the sweetness. It's relatively high for a red wine, but it's not very high. But it marries and balances very well, and it is well, and yes, I saw Andrew. Did we save the best for the end? Yes, we did. We deliberately left the Fellone to be the very last wine of our four wine tastings.
Gregory, you've been brilliant. Can Gregory play the piano?
But
Gregory, play the piano.
I'm also a pianist, but
come on, no, I think this is the only way. This is the only way.
The sound doesn't come very well.
It'll be fine. Well, I'm going to mute. Mark, if you mute, I think the sound might be fine. Right, come on, Gregory, play us out.
Fantastic, Gregory. Thank you. You're a star. We love you.
That is actually brilliant.
We look forward to meeting you when we're allowed to. We're going to come on to come and see you.
When you come, I will play just for a little charge more.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, it's worth it. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Gregory. Thank you.